Yingxing was a lonely loser working as a security guard until he ran into a baddie with cultivated. This meeting transitions into them getting in a relationship and Yingxing trying out the cultivation powers as well. However, their peaceful days are later interrupted when another hottie arrives and falls in love with the loser. On a stormy night, Musi heads to the building rooftop, breaking the lock. Meanwhile, Yingxing, who works as the security guard of the building, is chilling, watching TikTok on his phone. Suddenly, the power goes out and his fat boss asks Yingxing to go and solve the problem. Without wasting any more time, Yingxing heads out while Musi is present on the rooftop, performing a ritual which allows her to fly. Yingxing finally reaches the rooftop door and notices the broken lock. Thinking that it might be a thief, he heads to the rooftop, only to see a girl flying. Suddenly, lightning strikes her and she falls on the ground. Then, it starts raining and Yingxing goes to check up on the girl. After noticing that she is unconscious, he decides to leave and ignore what happened. However, his dignity doesn't allow him to and Yingxing makes up his mind to perform first aid on her. But instead of treating her, the cultured fellow ends up kissing the unconscious girl. At the same time, Musi has a dream about her mother where Musi begs her to stay. After Yingxing is done enjoying the kiss, he notices that Musi is awake and she slaps the crap out of him. Yingxing tries to explain the situation and lets her know that he gave her his first kiss in order to save her life. This statement pisses her off even more as it was her first kiss as well. Yingxing tries to bargain that the two of them are in a similar situation, which makes her slap him again. Yingxing starts crying, arguing that he did all that to save her life, calling her a violet girl. Nonetheless, Musi leaves, hoping that she never meets him again. On her way back, Musi seems glad that Yingxing didn't see the heavenly tribulation, the ritual she was doing, further saying that the cultivation world is ruled by law of the jungle and if a mortal ever gets involved, they lose their life. Suddenly, energy starts draining from her body and Musi realizes that her cultivation has been reduced to the previous level. On the other hand, Yingxing starts feeling the energy instead. The next day, Yingxing notices that his eyesight seems to have improved, and his body feels more refreshed. Coincidentally, he notices Musi walking when a creep stops her, trying to give her flowers. However, she ignores him but stops when he mentions the movie ticket he bought, as it sort of lies in her interest. Suddenly, the billboard on top of the building falls on the girl standing beneath it. Yingxing notices it and starts running in order to save the girl. Sadly, he doesn't manage to reach there in time but does somehow use the powers he got from Musi, sending the billboard flying away. Yingxing then faints and later finds himself in a room, tied up to the bed. Apparently, Musi is the one who did all this and then she climbs on the bed as well, unbuttoning her shirt, but unfortunately, her rizzing techniques end up failing. Musi then informs Yingxing that she plans on taking back what is hers and lets him know that he stole her powers. Yingxing doesn't seem to believe her and she slices the bed in half, finally making him believe. Now that he knows her secret, she gives him two choices, one of which is for him to lose his life and the second choice is for him to cultivate with her and become immortal with her. Later, both of them are in an elevator and Yingxing mentions that he has never been in a fancier hotel. Yingxing further mentions that the night is really pretty, to which Musi replies that it's just the surface that he sees and most of it is just darkness. Yingxing asks Musi about what happens in those dark spots. Seeing how she doesn't know about it, Yingxing tells her that there must be people living in those dark spots and he wants to do everything in his power to help those in need. However, Musi thinks that it is easier said than done and the two of them head over to the roof again. Musi informs him that there are two ways of learning the power he acquired, the quick way or the slow way. As expected, Yingxing chooses the faster way and Musi asks him to jump from the building as the powers manifest in the best way when one is close to their demise. If he succeeds, then he will be stronger than before, and if he doesn't, that will be the end of his life. Without wasting any time, she pushes him off the building and unfortunately, he fails to manifest the powers, thinking that it is most likely the end of his life. Suddenly, Yingxing notices Musi falling down from the building as well and she then holds on to him, allowing Yingxing to finally release his powers and make wings appear on his back, allowing them to safely land on the ground. He then takes her into the sky and starts showing off his powers, making Musi furious as she pins him on the ground, letting Yingxing know that the cultivation world is like a dark forest where if a person lit a fire, everyone lunges onto him. Furthermore, if he is a weakling, he can easily be eliminated by other cultivators if he is not able to defend himself. On the other hand, Huang orders his student, Ryu, to go into the real world and take Yingxing's test, advising her to eliminate him if he's a weakling. The next morning, Rishan watches Musi as she walks to school with Yingxing. He gets furious after finding out that they stayed at the hotel together and tries attacking Yingxing but ends up getting smacked by Musi for trying to hit her man. Afterward, Musi is surprised to see how the broke loser still uses Nokia 1310 and ends up lending him a spare smartphone she has so the two of them can chat like normal people. While enjoying their drinks, Yingqing asks Muzi the reason she isn't eliminating Yingqing. She replies that he has already absorbed most of her spiritual energy, and if he is eliminated, the energy will disappear as well. Yingqing then teasingly asks Muzi if they can cultivate together, and Muzi takes it seriously, holding his hand and running away. During this time, Yingqing realizes that no matter how cruel the world is, she makes him feel warm. On the other hand, Ryu has arrived in the world and already eliminated one of her victims. Ryu arrives in the city and starts looking for her target. Even though it is really hard for her to find, she still has a trick up her sleeve. Ryu starts off by spreading all her swimsuit photos in the surroundings, planning to seduce the cultivator with her beauty. Instead of Yingqing, a nerd gets attracted by them and starts checking out her body just to get elbowed by her afterward. A lot of men are attracted to her later, but none of them seem to be the person she is looking for. After interacting with every person she could find in the area, Yingqing doesn't seem to be present, and she decides to change the area and try this method somewhere else. Meanwhile, Yingqing is at his office, chatting with Muzi when his boss mentions the cute girl he has been talking to and decides to go meet her in the park. Yingqing realizes that the fatty must have lost his mind and decides to follow him. The boss eventually arrives at the park, blindly following the path the cute girl laid for him. He then finds Ryu waiting for him, but she is disappointed after finding that he is not her target and uppercuts him. Luckily, Yingqing uses his wings to save his boss, and unfortunately, Ryu notices it and realizes that Yingqing is the target she has been searching for. The boss loses his mind once again and starts crushing on Yingqing, making him let go of the pig in disgust. Then, Ryu removes the seduction spell she had done to the boss, which makes him come to his right mind. Ryu then decides to hide and eavesdrop on their conversation. Apparently, the boss likes Yingqing in reality as well and starts hitting on him, making Yingqing run away. However, Yingqing is soon confronted by Ryu, who strikes her back and uses the seduction spell on his as well, making Yingqing blindly fall in love with her. He ends up following her to the building's rooftop. Ryu then puts up a barrier that allows them to freely fight without worrying about other cultivators. Yingqing uses this opportunity to confess his love and proposes to Ryu, offering her some roast beef instead of a ring like a true brookie. This results in Ryu getting disgusted and punching the crap out of him. Ryu then removes the seduction spell, and Yingqing is surprised about what just happened to him. Nonetheless, Ryu takes out her fire sword, making Yingqing realize that she is a cultivator who has come for his life. He distracts her and tries to run away using wings, but Ryu catches him in an instant and sends him crashing to the ground. This attack makes Yingqing's plot come off, making Ryu embarrassed as to how a loser can be so down bad even during a fight. This time, Ryu decides to end this for good and comes at Yingqing but fails to land the attack, thanks to Muzi, who just arrived at the scene at the moment. The first thing she notices is Yingqing standing without his pants in front of another girl, and he hurries to put them back. Their conversation entertains Ryu, and she reveals the fact that Yingqing proposed to her a few moments ago, making Muzi question him about it. For the time being, she punishes Yingqing by making him kneel down on a keyboard, promising to deal with him after she defeats the enemy in front of them. While Yingqing is accepting his punishment by sitting on the keyboard, he comments on how two hot girls are fighting over him, which makes the two of them even more furious as they punch him and sing. After the loser is out of the way, Muzi uses telepathy and asks Yingqing to remember what she taught him during their first meetup. Apparently, the cultivators are divided into stages called the entry level, middle stage, late stage, and peak. Every stage has a vast difference in strength, and Yingqing will most likely be eliminated unless he owns a special weapon to fill the disparity between his rank. Ryu finds out that Muzi is using telepathy and lunges at her, but Muzi manages to block the attack and tells Yingqing that even the two of them can't defeat Ryu. She then starts getting cornered as Ryu takes the upper hand in their battle, slowly wounding and landing her attacks on Muzi. Luckily, she also manages to hit Ryu once and uses this opportunity, asking Yingqing to run away as he is just a nuisance anyway. Now that Yingqing is gone, the battle once again begins, and this time, Ryu doesn't hold back anything and brutally assaults Muzi, making her feel all kinds of pain. Eventually, she rips Muzi's clothes and makes her unable to fight any longer. To end their battle, Ryu sends a fireball at Muzi's direction, which Muzi tries to block. On the other hand, Yingqing is running like a complete wimp, but before leaving the building, he wonders if Muzi can defeat Ryu. At the same time, Wong also arrives in the city, making up his mind to taste Ryu's blood after she is done with her mission. Meanwhile, it starts getting hard for Muzi to hold off the attack any longer, and she eventually gets hit by it. Ryu slowly walks towards Muzi and points her sword at her. Just when she is about to finish her off, Yingqing comes in her place, getting stabbed instead of Muzi. She starts crying while Yingqing lets her know that he won't let her meet her demise alone. This reminds Muzi of her time with her mother, who advised her to get herself a man who supports him in every way. Sadly, their reunion is interrupted when Ryu kicks Yingqing away and later kicks Muzi as well. Suddenly, Yingxing finds himself at an unknown place where a white-haired dude informs him that he came to this place by mistake. The guy introduces himself as Lai Xuanzai, letting Yingxing know that their meetup is fate. He then tells Yingxing that both of their spirit energy originated from the same source, wondering if he was the cultivation partner of one of his offspring. Yingxing then shamefully introduces himself as Musie's husband, making Lai Xianzai think that he was right from the start. He decides to give Lai Xianzai one special fortune. Lai Xianzai then lends him some beads called Huntian beads and informs him that his powers will only last for 1 minute. Back in the real world, lightning strikes the rooftop and Yingxing emerges from within, flying in the sky while carrying Musie in his arms. After Yingxing's evolved version takes Musie out of danger, he stares at Ryu, making her realize that her current strength is not enough for her to defeat him. She starts wondering if he is stronger than her master and hesitantly tries to attack him using her fire whip. Surprisingly, Yingxing touches the whip's tip, making it disappear from existence. Ryu can't believe that he destroyed her weapon in an instant and gives up as her main weapon is now destroyed. Instead of allowing Yingxing to eliminate her, Ryu decides to fall from the rooftop and take her own life. Luckily, Ryu manages to save her, letting Ryu know that he doesn't have to go so far after losing a fight. Ryu then starts crying, commenting on how a weakling like him doesn't know anything about the cruelty of the world. After Ryu leaves, Musie questions Yingxing about the powers he just used. Yingxing replies that it was his dream to act cool in front of some baddies and managed to achieve it. Musie interrupts by pinching his head and taking him back to the hotel room. She questions him again about his newly formed powers, but he fails to correctly answer her questions, reminding her that he also mysteriously absorbed her powers as well. This makes her furious and she slowly walks towards Yingxing, tying him to the bed frame once again. Musie informs him that she will be performing a co-cultivation method and later kisses him. Apparently, this trick connects both of their minds together and everything is exposed to each other without hiding. He starts seeing the memories hidden deep inside of her and finds himself lying on a grass field. Yingxing finds a strange door nearby and tries to grab the lock, which results in bright light coming from within the door, teleporting him to a more dreadful-looking place. Suddenly, the child version of Musie arrives and takes him to some other place by means of a portal. On the other hand, Musie is also traveling in Yingxing's consciousness and ends up finding the core. She tries to touch it but it traps her, making her teleport to a place where a swordsman is standing behind her and ends her life. Meanwhile, Yingxing also finds himself in a similar situation where his surroundings are engulfed in flames. He uses his powers and runs out of the building, planning to save Musie but runs into the swordsman instead. A citizen begs for her life but he ends her life after she fails to inform him about the weapon called Black Sky. Afterward, both of them are brought to the real world and Yingxing makes up his mind to protect Musie. Later that day, Musie informs him that her family has only 34 descendants and except for her, all of them were eliminated back then just because of their family treasure called the Black Sky. Even now, the rage is still burning inside Musie and she plans to take her revenge when she meets him again. This makes Yingxing curious about his stage, to which Musie replies he is the strongest of them all and even 6 elders of the cultivation world failed to bring him down. Yingxing grabs Musie's hand and reassures her that he will be fighting him as well, making sure they win the fight. Musie ends up giving him a kiss on the cheek, letting him know that it is his reward for protecting her. Musie further tells Yingxing that she doesn't want to find more information about his spiritual energy, as when she was in his consciousness, she felt the warmth that she used to feel from her mother. Afterward, Yingxing returns back to his office and finds Ryu lying on his bed, wearing questionable clothes. Yingxing questions the reason Ryu appeared in his room and she replies that she had been waiting for his arrival. Yingxing then asks the reason she is dressed in such a lewd manner. But surprisingly, she asks Yingxing for a favor. Apparently, she has no place to go and asks him to let her stay at his place, as she can easily sleep in his bed. Yingxing's boss offers Yingxing to sleep with him while Ryu takes the bed, which makes Yingxing puke out of disgust, and he decides to sleep on the floor instead. The next day, several boys try to shoot their shot at Ryu but end up rejecting them one by one. Suddenly, Rishin, the emo kid who is after Musie, arrives and waits for her arrival. Rishin then tries to give Musie a ring, asking her on a date. Sadly, Musie rejects his offer, letting him know that she only goes out with boys who protect her and are willing to care for her for the rest of their lives.
Huh?
She suggests he go out with Ryu instead, as a creep like her would be more suitable. At the same time, Yingxing arrives and Musie asks him to go out for movies, but Ryu doesn't back down and gives him a hug, asking him for movies as well. The two of them start fighting telepathically while Rishin suffers from jealousy, commenting on how the ugly moron snatches his ladies again. Later that day, all three of them go out for movies, and while Musie tries to make a move by holding Yingxing tightly, Ryu turns it up a notch and kisses Yingxing on the cheek. This results in Musie trying to give him a kiss, but Yingxing gets out of the way. making both the girls kiss each other instead, making the cultured boys sitting behind them experience a sight from the heavens.
No! No! No!
After they are done with the movie, it starts raining outside and they both fight over Yingxing's jacket to use it as an umbrella, ripping it in the process and pushing Yingxing down the stairs. The next day, Yingxing buys a gift for Musi and is on his way to deliver it. Unfortunately, the Amo boys stop him midway as he arrives to teach him a lesson along with some neighborhood delinquents. He then orders his lackeys to attack Yingxing, especially his little Excalibur. The delinquents then surround Yingxing from all four sides, and just when they are about to attack Yingxing, he distracts them and runs away. As expected, all of them follow Yingxing as well, and Rishin's butler makes Yingxing fall on the ground. Luckily, both Ryu and Musi realize that he is being followed by some delinquents and they both jump into the battleground as well. Both of them start fighting the delinquents, punching and kicking them one by one until not even one of them is left. This makes Rishin cry, commenting on how the world is so unfair. Meanwhile, Yingxing checks if the gift he bought is still okay and gives it to Musi. Instead of buying something nice, the 0 IQ fellow bought some chicken figurines for her, thinking that the girls might be into chicken, not knowing the girls are more into chicken's male version.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
At the same time, Ryu looks at them with sadness in her eyes and she decides to walk away while Huang watches her from afar, expecting Ryu to make the right choice. After giving her the gift, Musi and Yingxing walk happily until they notice Ryu walking away, looking all depressed. Seeing her reminds Yingxing of his older self when he used to be all alone. Musi gives him permission and he goes to talk to her. After stopping her, he lets Ryu know that he would like to become her friend, which pisses her off, letting him know that she would have eliminated the two of them if they didn't get so lucky. She then tells Yingxing that the reason she got close to him was so he could protect her with his powerful energy. Yingxing then extends his hand, promising to protect her. Furthermore, he informs her that Musi has been carrying the burden of her family's demise all on her perfectly shaped shoulders. She also feels lonely just the way these two do. He then tells Ryu that Musi only acts strongly in front of others, and even now, Yingxing is the only one whom she can rely on. This makes Ryu understand the reason Yingxing has been desperately trying to protect Musi. However, Yingxing reassures her that he will be willing to protect her as well because the two of them are friends. This makes Ryu tear up and she runs away. Simultaneously, Musi arrives, telling Yingxing to not console Ryu that much as it can make her jealous. At night, a school couple is starting to act freaky inside the classroom when the geezer arrives to enjoy the live show but gets bored and eliminates the two of them in an instant, commenting on how the fruit, Ryu, he has been maturing for so long, is finally ready. Later, Ryu gives Huang a visit to update him about her mission. He informs Ryu that after absorbing the blood of school students, he has once again reached another breakthrough point, and 10 days later, he will be eliminating the two of them as well. He orders Ryu to hold them off until the time arrives, and she runs away. Meanwhile, Yingxing, who is searching for Ryu, finally finds her in the forest, and surprisingly, she starts acting all hot and freaky with him. He tries to hold her off, which results in Ryu taking out her flaming sword. She then starts attacking Yingxing, telling him to not make useless promises such as the one about protecting her. All he does is try to defend himself while Ryu mercilessly attacks him. However, until the end, Yingxing doesn't attack her, which makes Ryu cry and question why he isn't fighting back. Yingxing replies that his powers are meant to protect her and not hurt her. After the fight is over, Musi comes out, agreeing to listen to what Ryu has to say. Afterward, Ryu finally informs them that her master has felt the release of their spirit energy as they previously exposed themselves. Musi figures that the master had the perfect plan, as he wouldn't be a part of it if Ryu were to eliminate the two of them, or they ended up eliminating Ryu. Now that all three of them are alive, Ryu's master will be looking forward to devouring all three of them. Ryu then explains that her master is a powerful foe who will soon be reaching the middle stage of core formation. Meanwhile, Huang finishes devouring the bodies of the students and mentions that all he wants is the blood of those two. Yingxing mentions how they will have to fight Huang and asks Ryu if she will be willing to fight her master, and Musi adds that the student-teacher relationship doesn't exist with such a moron like Huang. This reminds Huang of her childhood days, when she was going out and greeted her parents, who gave her some lunch to eat with her friends. On her way, the village kids started bullying her for being friends with such a monster. They start throwing rocks at her, which results in Ryu beating the crap out of them, making all the bullies run away. With that being said, she heads over to a cave where her lizard-looking monster friend lives. She happily greets Ryu, who applied medicine to the wound her snake friend had on her back. After the treatment, the two of them enjoyed the lunch that Ryu's mother gave her. Following that, Ryu hugs her friend while the two of them enjoy the scenery. A couple of days later, a fortune teller visited the village, and everyone was going crazy due to his arrival. He tried interacting with Ryu, but she ignored him and walked away. However, he didn't give up and advised her to stay away from that monster who might take away everything she liked. At dusk, Ryu pays her friend a visit but doesn't find her in the usual spot. This reminds Ryu of the old man's words and she heads back to the village, only to witness a massacre and corpses lying around with her snake friend being the one responsible. In this literal state of hell, Ryu tries to find her parents and eventually finds their lifeless bodies. Additionally, the fortune teller also passes away, asking Ryu to take care of the monster. Having no other choice, Ryu picks up a wooden stick and heads over to the cave, with her burning rage taking over her body. After reaching the cave, she runs into Huang, who advises her to not go inside, but she insists on taking revenge for everything the snake did. He once again advises her to stay alive as she is the sole survivor of the village. But seeing how persistent she was, Huang ended up giving her a special weapon that was called live fire. With that weapon in hand, she moved toward the snake's den and found herself lying on the floor. The snake noticed her arrival and tried lunging at Ryu, only for her to get stabbed by live fire. Even after getting stabbed, the snake didn't attack Ryu but hugged her instead. This reminded Ryu of all the memories and she started crying at her friend's demise as well. After exiting the cave, Ryu found Huang flying in the air, making her realize that he was immortal. This made Ryu beg him to save the villagers as he must be capable of doing such a thing. However, Huang replied that resurrection is one thing that goes against the laws of heaven. Instead, he asked her to become his student and join him on the road of cultivation. That was how she became the disciple of Huang, but realized something was wrong when she noticed him using some kind of bloodthirsty fiend art in order to improve his cultivation levels. This made her realize that even she was like prey to him, waiting to be devoured. After the story ends, Ryu informs Yingxing that the fiend art takes normal people's blood to expand the cultivation level. Furthermore, if he manages to eliminate Yingxing and Muzi, he will be capable of reaching the late stage of core formation. The three of them think about how they can't defeat him even if they have artificial weapons. Ryu informs them that if Huang manages to finish his fiend art, then Yingxing's and Muzi's spiritual energy will be taken away by force. This makes Yingxing ask Muzi to run away to a faraway place, and she seems to like this idea as well. However, it makes Ryu furious and lets them know that her master will be able to find them easily. Then, Yingxing asks Muzi to transfer all his energy to him, as even if he ends up losing his life in the battle, Muzi can happily live afterward. Ryu smacks Yingxing and lets him know that the only way to leave the cultivation world is by demise. Fortunately, Ryu thinks that there might be a chance if they work together, as she has a theory that his master will be coming after her life as well. She wants to assist the two of them and greater their chance to live. As Huang's fiend art is yet to be finished, Ryu thinks that they can hope for a miracle to happen and strike him first while his guard is down. After the conversation, Yingxing and Muzi head back to the hotel room and Yingxing asks her to get down to business. However, Muzi still is angry about Yingxing acting like a creep, attempting to help Ryu even though he is a loser himself. Eventually, Muzi agrees to help her as well, making Yingxing propose co-cultivation, which slightly scares Muzi, letting him know that they are still not at that stage of their relationship. She then informs him about the white glowing light she saw in his consciousness and lets him know that it has similar energy as the treasure her family used to have. It is not something he received along with her powers and is still a mystery as to how he got it. According to Muzi, if he can use that energy, their chances of survival will exponentially rise. Afterward, she starts explaining that energy is similar to a spirit weapon, and he will need his blood to release it and form a contract with the power. However, there is still danger as the power can take over him as well. In the end, Yingxing decides to make a contract with the power as they will be losing their life in the upcoming fight with their current skill levels. With that being said, Muzi takes out her weapon and cuts his hand, releasing the spirit weapon. Yingxing makes a contract with the weapon, and it takes the form of a girl. The girl introduces herself and informs Yingxing that if he wants to unleash her full power, he will need to be at an ascendant soul level. Muzi also realizes that they might need to think of something else as Yingxing's current energy level is as rusty as his meat. At night, he tries calling out the spirit to make her do some questionable stuff but ends up cutting his hand for nothing, as he can just release her by concentrating his mind. The next day, he is walking on the streets and comes across the emo boy, who brings two cultivators with him. They try to attack Yingxing but are confronted by Muzi and Ryu. The battle between them begins and Muzi recognizes them as weapon hunters. Apparently, they use their talisman powers and restrict the girl's movements, using this chance to attack Yingxing and beat the crap out of him. Just when they are about to finish Yingxing off, he manages to call the spirit, who saves the girls from the restriction, and they manage to beat the weapon hunters easily. At the same time, Huang watches them from afar, thinking about how they all will be becoming sacrificial offerings. Risshin notices the spirit standing next to Yingxing and starts simping on her as well. He wishes to have a powerful maidservant, and his butler makes some calls to arrange it as well. Later, Yingxing is enjoying his massage when both the girls arrive. Musi warns Rishin to never make a move on Yingxing again or she won't be so forgiving next time. After getting rejected, Rishin runs away crying, only to trip and fall like a complete loser. After they are done with Rishin, Ryu takes a good look at the spirit, who introduces herself as a weapon spirit who made a contract with Yingxing. She is surprised to know that Yingxing made a contract in a single night, but he decides not to tell her the truth as the white-haired dude warned him about it. Afterward, all three of them decide to give the spirit a name, and Ryu starts calling her Yahuan, but the spirit doesn't seem to like it. Then, Yingxing suggests the name Ling which means spirit, and the spirit happily accepts the name. With that being said, everyone leaves and Ling advises Yingxing to improve his cultivation level to prevent danger. He also comments on how he doesn't like hiding behind brute women. To solve this problem, Ling takes him to another realm, informing Yingxing that it is the world inside the Huntian beads. Yingxing finds it hard to believe that such a world lies in such small balls. Ling further informs him that she is also a spirit weapon made by the white-haired dude, letting him know that her full energy depends on her master's cultivation level and she can only be her best self if her master is not a weakling like him. Yingxing then asks Ling if there is a way for her to eliminate the geezer, to which she replies that if Yingxing were to do questionable things with her, it might result in a spontaneous detonation that would cause hundreds of miles of barren waste. However, Yingxing refuses to use her as an object and comments on how Musi is more powerful than him even though he has more powerful spirit energy. Ling informs him that he still doesn't know how to use spirit energy according to his own will. Ling starts teaching him this art by taking off his shirt, making him think that the two of them might be getting down to business. But sadly, all Ling does is start touching his stomach. She then starts making his spirit energy appear, making him understand it a little better. However, this is still not enough, as this way will still take 5 minutes 10 years for him to master the art of cultivating energy. Yingxing needs another way to learn the art of cultivating energy even faster. The other method Ling can think of is using her own spirit energy to make him learn the art even faster, but the process is supposed to be very painful. Luckily, it doesn't bother Yingxing and Ling starts the process, making Yingxing feel intense pain. However, it is not compared to what Musi feels, and he tries his best to bear the pain and manages to complete the process without screaming or shouting, enduring the pain like a real man. Suddenly, a nearby tree comes to life and starts attacking the two of them. Luckily, Yingxing uses his cultivating energy at the right time, putting a hold in the tree and eliminating it easily. Ling mentions that he was able to utilize the transferring of spirit energy. He then tests his newly formed abilities, and Ling congratulates Yingxing for learning the art of spirit energy. Afterward, Yingxing receives a call from Musi, who asks him to meet up with her. The three of them then arrive at a toy shop, making Yingxing think that Musi might be planning on getting freaky tonight. In reality, it is a covert cultivation shop, and even Ling didn't expect it to be like that, asking Yingxing what adult toys are. Yingxing replies that they are magical items used by elder cultivators, which she easily believes as well. Afterward, they all enter the shop, and the host welcomes them inside, asking the kind of entertainment they want. The receptionist starts playing music, making the host dance in a creepy manner. Luckily, Musi stops all of this by smashing the laptop and showing them the diamond card of the night VIP that she owns. After seeing the card, the host agrees to let her meet their boss while Yingxing and Ling are asked to wait outside. Musi gives Yingxing some money, allowing him to buy whatever he might like inside the shop. Ling tells Yingxing that Musi gave him some specific currency that is used in the cultivation world, and the receptionist offers to show him all the magical treasures the shop owns. Without wasting any time, they start looking at all the items the shop owns, and Yingxing ends up liking a safety cloak that blocks all the attacks and is 500 gems worth. However, Musi only gave Yingxing 50 spirit stones. The receptionist agrees to give them some discount, but Yingxing is still too broke to buy anything from the shop. Just when they are about to leave, the receptionist decides to take those 50 stones no matter what and informs Yingxing about the gambling stone game he can play with the number of stones he owns. Apparently, no one knows what is inside the stones, and it could be valuable stuff or nothing at all, as everything depends solely on luck. Yingxing ends up liking the offer and decides to give it a try. On the other hand, Musi tells the shop owner that she would like to have the most valuable magical treasure in the shop. He agrees to give it to her but requests the card back as the price she needs to pay. She agrees, and the shop owner goes to fetch the item along with the host. Along the way, the shop owner tells the host that the item can only defend the user under a deadly flow when struck by a lower level than nascent soul, and it is no longer valuable to the shop. Meanwhile, the receptionist shows Yingqing a bunch of boxes, asking him to randomly choose the one he likes. Ling Er uses her intelligence and tells Yingqing about the most valuable box, and he ends up buying the one she suggested. Afterward, the receptionist opens the box for them, and it turns out to be a rusty-looking dagger. She seems glad that her customers were successfully scammed, but Yingqing seems content with the dagger he got. After they leave, the receptionist informs the shop owner about the box she sold, giving him a heart attack as the dagger was called the Soul of Dragon Blood, the most valuable thing at the shop. Ryu returns to Huang and informs him that she failed to complete the mission. Apparently, he doesn't buy her act as Huang is already aware of Ryu teaming up with them and planning on eliminating him. She tries to reject all the accusations, but Huang mentions that he has been keeping an eye on everything by acting as the school's janitor. Without further delay, he starts attacking her, and luckily, Ryu manages to run away from him. On the other hand, Muzi takes a look at the dagger, and Ling Er informs him about the red dragon's soul sealed inside the dagger. It is said that a cultivator from a long time ago eliminated the dragon and sealed its soul inside the dagger. Hearing this makes Yingqing glad that he purchased a valuable dagger, planning on releasing the dragon on the old fart. However, Ling Er informs Yingqing that the dragon is a Yagui beast, which is hostile towards humans and will cause even more trouble than Huang himself. She then suggests Yingqing put some energy into the dagger, and he does, resulting in the formation of his clones. Ling Er realizes that even she can't tell which is the real one with the skills she possesses. Suddenly, Ryu telepathically informs Yingqing about what happened, and before he goes to the battlefield, Muzi gives him the necklace she traded with the shop owner, making Yingqing promise that he will stay alive. Afterward, the three of them fly towards the destination, and Yingqing promises in his mind to protect Muzi at all costs. Meanwhile, Huang is still following Ryu in the real world as well, informing Ryu that he always planned on sacrificing her for the greater good. The moment he first saw her, Huang made up his mind to raise her and turn her into a valuable sacrifice. Huang starts attacking Ryu, mentioning that her will to not give up only makes him even more excited. Ryu then takes out her sword as well, making up her mind to fight till her last moment. Just when Huang is about to attack Ryu, Yingqing arrives and lands a punch on the old man's ugly face. Huang then starts attacking all of them at once, and both the girls fail to defend themselves from his attacks. Yingqing orders his clones to attack Huang together with both the girls, but it ends up not affecting Huang at all. Later, all four of them decide to attack at the same time, but still don't seem to damage the shield that is protecting Huang. Muzi and Ryu try attacking him at once, but he deflects both of their attacks, damaging them instead. In the meantime, Yingqing realizes that even though Huang's core formation is powerful, he has real dragon blood on his dagger and runs towards Huang with the dagger in his hand. Both of them fly towards each other, and Yingqing's dagger manages to break the shield, landing a small hit on Huang. Yingqing realizes that this trick worked and plans on using it again, asking Huang to accept his defeat already. Huang also seems curious about the dagger, and Yingqing replies that the dagger is made to personally eliminate dogs like him. Suddenly, Huang grabs his throat as he doesn't like his attitude, only to find out that it is just a clone as the real one manages to land another hit on Huang, complimenting the old man for being quite agile despite his old age. Seeing this trick, Muzi remembers how good the cloning trick is, as even though the clones only last for 2 hours and he can't make more than 2 clones at a time. The main useful trick of this ability is that it allows Yingqing to transfer his soul between the body. This can allow him to avoid fatal injuries when he is in danger. At this point, Huang decides to get serious as well and ends up using his fiend art. This ability starts stealing everyone's spirit energy and blood. Luckily, Yingqing calls out Ling Er at the perfect time, and she defends them against the fiend art, overpowering and removing it completely. Ling Er warns Huang to leave or he might end up losing his life. She then creates a shield that holds Huang at a single spot, advising everyone to run away as it will only last 2 hours. Meanwhile, Huang finds out that Ling Er must have some limitations, which is not allowing her to attack freely, and starts breaking the shield using his attacks. Yingqing advises Muzi and Ryu to leave, but Ling Er asks him to leave with them as well, as she is enough to fight him alone. Hearing Ling Er call Yingqing master makes Huang realize that she is a weapon spirit, which is the reason she is not able to attack freely. Ryu notices that Huang already knows everything and decides to run away, wanting to think up another plan later. Muzi also agrees that they don't have the firepower to defeat Huang, and Yingqing asks Ling Er to return after they leave as well. With that being said, everyone escapes and Ling Er returns back to Yingqing as well. At this point, Yingqing is out of spirit energy and plans to lure Huang to the trap they have prepared for him. After luring him into the correct spot, Ryu activates the trap and all three of them try attacking him at once, but Huang easily defends himself. Huang then reveals that all the secrets he wrote in the fiend art book were false, as they were not going to weaken him but make him even stronger. This trap ends up increasing his powers even further, and he lets Ryu know that he kept an eye on everything, and the real purpose behind it was to trick her into using the array to improve the powers of his fiend art, so he can eliminate all of them. Not knowing what else to do, Muzi suggested running away, but Huang tried to follow them. Yingxing takes Ling Er's help once again, who holds Huang off, allowing others to run away. Seeing how Ling Er is blocking his attacks, which are allowing his food to run away, he calls out to Ryu, telling her that he wants to tell her a secret, which is the truth behind the slaughtering of her village. This makes Ryu stop in her tracks. Huang informs Ryu that 20 years ago, he tracked her snake friend into a village known as Sai-Dai. Surprisingly, he also ended up finding Ryu, who he realized had already reached the last stage of Kai condensation and had a body that had been able to self-cultivate since birth. Seeing how she was super rare, Huang made up his mind to get her, planning to use her for his own gain. Soon after, he disguised himself as the fortune teller and infiltrated the village, wanting to talk to Ryu, but she refused. In order to get to her, Huang decided to massacre the entire village disguised as the snake spirit and used magical grass on the spirit, which made her go crazy. Ryu thought that it was the spirit who eliminated all the villagers and asked for Huang's help in taking revenge. The cost of revenge was for her to follow him and cultivate under his education. Not only did he get Ryu on his side, but also stole the snake's core. Hearing this story brought tears to Ryu's eyes, and she started crying, remembering her snake friend. Her sadness then turns into anger, and she runs in Huang's direction. Having no other choice, Yingxing decides to follow her as well. Ryu attacks Huang, but he easily defends himself, only to realize that the dragon's soul dagger had already stabbed him. Afterward, Yingxing asked Ling Er to return and told Huang that he used Ryu as a cover and threw his dagger at the same time, making his cheekiness known to the world. Yingxing then makes the dagger return to him, making Huang furious as he starts using his own powers. His ability ends up controlling the place that the emo boy is on and complaining about the taste of the wine he is drinking. Just when the plane starts going down, the pilot takes the parachute and jumps out. Only 2 parachutes left, and the other plane staff manage to jump out of the plane as well. Having no other choice, the butler grabs the remaining parachute and jumps out of the plane along with Rishin. At the same time, Muzi takes flight and lands on top of the plane. She once again starts the heavenly punishment ritual, which starts controlling the plane, making Huang lose control. The plane starts heading straight towards Huang, but he remains confident. Muzi decides to use the small amount of power she can use of the dark sky and plans on eliminating Huang. He realizes that Muzi might be the rare thunder spirit root and destroys the plane with his attack. While Muzi starts her battle with Huang, Yingxing runs towards them. Muzi starts blocking all of his attacks, thanking Huang for helping her pass heaven's punishment. Huang then throws lightning bolts at her, which manages to strike and injure Muzi. Luckily, Yingxing is present to catch Muzi and holds his hand. Muzi loses consciousness, but Yingxing's locket starts glowing. Just then, Muzi gains consciousness, and the two of them combine their powers to move towards Huang, managing to land an attack. The land slashes off Huang's arm, making him even more furious than he already was. At this point, Huang uses his most powerful attack, known as blood absorption. This starts taking both blood and spiritual energy from everyone at a higher level. Ling Er gets out and tries to defend Yingxing, but he realizes that his energy might affect Ling Er as well and asks him to return. Yingxing then states that he won't let Huang harm Muzi, making Huang control the blade and injure Yingxing. His blood starts burning, making Yingxing realize that real dragon blood on the knife can corrode blood. Huang decides to start with Muzi and starts choking her. After he is done with Muzi, he throws her away and Yingxing tries to attack Huang but fails to land a hit. Enraged, Yingxing picks up the dagger and lets out his wing, turning into the long-haired form once again. He then starts passing his blood through the dagger, which corrodes it and passes it to Huang. The boomer then starts suffering, and Ryu uses this chance to attack him. However, her attacks are still as useless as ever. Huang then attacks Yingxing, which he easily nullifies, flies towards Huang, who starts attacking Yingxing using giant rocks. Luckily, he manages to dodge them, and even after getting it, easily manages to break them. Yingxing continues to dash towards Huang and eventually puts a hole in his stomach, putting an end to the fight. After the fight, Ryu is glad that she managed to avenge her parents and snake friend. Meanwhile, Yingxing walks toward Muzi, who is still unconscious. He then calls out to the elder, who has been keeping tabs on them for a long time, and the giant eye materializes in front of him. Yingxing lets the elder know that he always felt some other power watching him while he pleasured himself and finally found out who it was. Yingxing then tells the elder that he might have the power to save Muzi. The elder asks the reason he would help a weakling like him, to which Yingxing replies that he will be willing to fulfill whatever demands he might have and requests him to save Muzi. The elder replies that he has been keeping an eye on him in order to get the Huntian beads. Yingxing tries to give it to him, but the elder shows him a place, telling him to bring the beads there. Furthermore, he fails to tell the name of the place to Yingxing as it is against the rule. asking him to find it on his own and bring the beads within 3 years. With that being said, the elder starts doing work in order to save Musi. Meanwhile, Rishin and his butler are standing at the plane wreckage, and he asks the butler to buy better planes from now on. In order to get back home, the butler gives him a piggyback ride until he trips and falls on the ground. Sometime later, Musi takes Yingqing to a location while keeping him blindfolded. It is in the middle of the forest, and after they reach the location, she takes off the blindfold and lets him see the beautiful field. As they sit under the tree, she informs him that it is the spot she used to come to with her mother. Musi then gets close to Yingqing, letting him know that she has many ways to satisfy him. Yingqing, who thought he might be getting some action, hesitantly agrees, only to find out that she was talking about a duel. Afterward, she gives Yingqing a hug and he promises to never let her experience anything terrible ever again, advising her to rest easy as she won't be alone anymore. As a thank you, Musi gives him a kiss. This was all about our cultivator couple. Will Yingqing succeed in delivering the beads to the elder? Comment cultivator below and let us know. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more plot-filled recaps.